Hello, welcome back again. This one will be on my politics. Thought we'd start off kind of simple, maybe just get kind of define a few terms of political leanings. So when we do talk, we kind of have a basic understanding of uh, the things we're discussing. As I said in my first video, I'm a libertarian uh, at heart. Uh, there are a few little things that's hard to swallow, although I do believe they're correct, but it's just hard to swallow. But Libertarian Party promotes civil liberties, non-interventionism, laissez-faire capitalism, shrinking the size and scope of government. The party was conceived by David Nolan in '71. Now, libertarians pretty strict. Believe in civil liberties, non-interventionism. We take a very dim view of getting involved in other countries, and especially warfare, which is a view I'm revisiting from my youth. I used to be a little more for the intervention, but in my older age, I think we're abusing some of our interventions overseas. Laissez-faire capitalism, in other words, let the market work. Don't overregulate. We can have laws to make it, don't lie, cheat, or steal, fraud. Simple, fair business practices, not thousands of regulations. The market will fix itself on most situations. And shrinking, libertarian would really like for a very, 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 very small government. I'm sure much smaller than most people would be able to function under. This is why I usually I take my politics and work through the conservatives in the Republican Party. Because they're still basically in the same line, but probably not as hardcore as a libertarian. Conservatives believe in personal responsibility, very much so in the Libertarian Party. Limited government, free market, individual liberty, traditional American values, strong national defense. The role of government should be to provide the people the freedom necessary to pursue their own goals. Conservative policies generally emphasize empowerment of the individual to solve the problem, not the government. Now, liberals, on the other hand, believe in government action to achieve equal opportunity and equality for all. It is in the duty of the government to alleviate social ills and to protect civil liberties and individual human rights. Believing the role of the government should be to guarantee that no one is in need. Liberal policies generally emphasize the need for the government to solve problems. There's the issue. Is they turn too heavily to government to solve the issues. Equal opportunity for all? Yes. Equality for all? Yes. Equal outcome? Can't happen. The social ills, I'm not sure how far the government needs to be involved in our social ills. Civil liberties, yes. Our social ills, I think, is a slippery slope where the government gets way too invasive. And guaranteeing no one is in need is a bit difficult too. especially from a federal government. Maybe state and local you can enact that in, but I don't believe it's the federal government's job to make sure nobody's in need. Now, the last party here that seems to be rising in the states today is socialism. They call it democratic socialism. Socialism is still basically the same system, and I think each system's going to probably end up in the same spot. Socialism is an economic political system in which the government controls all means of production. Capitalism is an economic and political system in which property, business, and industries are owned by a private individual and not the state. That's the difference between your socialism and your capitalism. Socialism is economic and social equality through redistribution of wealth. Capitalism creates wealth through private ownership of property and business. Okay? Capitalism will create wealth. Socialism has a very hard time creating wealth because it just wants to divvy up everything, not necessarily create wealth. Socialism is a centralized government plan, planned economy, wealth redistribution, price control, social equality, nationalizing of production, expansion of the welfare state, and capitalism, free markets, free enterprise, supply and demand, laissez-faire, private property rights, competition, incentives. It just doesn't compare with the free markets. Now, like I say, democratic socialism is what they call it today. And it's much property held by the public through a democratically elected government, including most major industries, utilities, transportation system. Here's a kicker. A limit on the accumulation of private property, government regulation of the economy, extensive public financing, assistance, and pension programs, social cost, and provides provisions of service added to purely financial considerations as a measure of efficiency. Publicly held property is limited to productive property and significant infrastructure. It does not extend to personal property, homes, small businesses, and in practice in many democratic socialist countries, it has not extended to many large corporations. Yeah, well, governments are real good about restricting themselves and not letting them get too far away. A limit on accumulation of private property. That one scares me. How much are you allowed to make? It's kind of like playing a football game and your running back scored 2 touchdowns. Well, we got to be fair. That's more than enough touchdowns for him to score. So you got to take him out of the game, put somebody else in so they can have a chance to score their 2 touchdowns. And when your quarterback throws for 200 yards, that's enough for him. You got to switch quarterbacks out then too, because you can't have more than that. That'd work, wouldn't it? I can't buy the socialism.